Welcome, friends, to the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour with your hosts Sig Bisley and Colt Mauser. Before we get started, please be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content just like this. Now, let the animation appreciation commence.
If last season felt like a famine, then this season is a feast.
A gluttonous feast.
A fucking banquet.
Puking all over the place, and then you're eating some more, because holy shit, there's a lot of fucking new anime.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I hate that they waste it all in one season, but I'm going to take it, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to get into that. Because it's October, and somehow we managed to not do it already, we're going to do Vampire Hunter D.
Hey, man, you got to save the gems sometimes.
Yeah. I swore we did it, but I went back. We haven't. Anyway, what was the other thing?
We're going to talk about the RIPPAVERSE. ISOM #1.
Oh, yeah, I finally read it, and it was better than I expected.
Yeah, so we'll get into that, too. There'll be a little spoilers there, so we'll warn you.
But before all of that, as usual, the news.
The news. All right. News was a little light today, but the last bit of news, best bit of news I've had in a long, long time.
Wow.
So look forward to it.
When is there good news?
Oh, it's hilarious news, and it's very timely. Anyway, I'll stop cock teasing you about it, and I use that.
Tease some more.
I use that for a reason. All right, so first thing is Silent Hill. Does everybody remember Silent Hill? Most people like Silent Hill.
Certainly.
They liked at least some of the games. Silent Hill 2 was the one I played and really, really liked. Movie was actually surprisingly good at the time. Certainly was better than the Resident Evil movies at the time.
Yeah.
Although those seem like masterpieces in comparison to that horrible series they did.
So sad.
It is a goddamn shame. Anyway, so apparently they are finally working on some new games. So they're working on a new film, which I didn't know about. Christoph Gans, who did Crying Freeman? So some live-action adaptation of Crying Freeman. And the 2006 Silent Hill film is actually working on a new Silent Hill film. So that's cool, because the original movie, like I said, was pretty good. So I wouldn't mind seeing a follow-up.
Compared to all the other shit video game movies.
But now they're developing some games too. Now, the problem is Konami. Konami is a weird, like, pachinko machine-making company now, and
right.
Mobile games, and doesn't really make games anymore. I mean, it's why you don't see Castlevania games. It's such a damn shame.
Yeah, it's weird.
But anyway, just a little bit of news that there is actually going to be some kind of new Silent Hill game, theoretically, in the near future. The last Silent Hill game that came out, and these were just Silent Hill Downpour? Like, I don't even remember that game. PlayStation 3 and Xbox.
Never heard of it.
Turn 360 degrees and walk away in March of 2012.
Yeah,
so
no idea.
look forward to it. You know, maybe you'll just get a pachinko machine out of it. Who the hell knows?
Not me.
I was just a little stoked to see that.
Yeah, it's a underutilized franchise.
It's a very
little bit.
underutilized franchise, and Resident Evil kind of overshadows it, and it really shouldn't. Not that Resident Evil isn't good. Well, again, apart from the new series, it's just Silent Hill had a more Lovecraftian aesthetic going on.
It had more zazz.
It was less pure zombie. Although Resident Evil, in fairness, isn't just pure zombie. It did have a lot of crazy monsters and other stuff going on. So, anyway, moving on. All right, so the next news, and this is just kind of interesting. I don't know how much I care, though I love the game deeply. They are doing a card game for Persona 5 Royal. Now, it's good subject matter. They apparently did a role-playing game.
That I remember.
This is going to be a cooperative card-based strategy game.
Oh, okay.
Or it is a role-playing game, sorry. Because I actually played Persona 2 back in the day. I never got that far into it. It was kind of boring. Sorry. I know people love that game. And I bought Persona 4 Golden. Never really finished it. But 5, I crushed. And it was 120 hours, but I crushed it. Never mind Royal, which had more stuff, which is kind of insane because it's already long enough. But here you're going to get a cooperative card game that's based on it. It's got a really cool theme, so out of all of them, especially, it's got a really cool aesthetic, a really cool theme. I think it lends itself well. But
What kind of card game is it? Is it like a deck builder? Or?
it doesn't say. Just some sort of cooperative card-based strategy game.
Interdasting.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got an actual release date, which is crazy because this usually doesn't happen. The release date is more than a year away. It's October 21st, 2023. So
I will forget about it.
yeah, forget about it for now. Get excited for like a minute if you're into this kind of thing. Forget about it, and then you'll be pleasantly surprised. Come a year from
true.
now. I thought it was an interesting bit of news. All right. Moving on. So this is in the realm of strange anime crossovers. So a company called Box Lunch, which I don't really know anything about, they do pop culture junk. They sell pop culture kitschy
I've heard
garbage
the
to
name
people
before, yeah.
which hey, I've been guilty, although not of the worst kind of garbage. Make my Bandai, damn it. Anyway, they're setting up a My Hero Academia and or Jujutsu Kaisen photo spots.
Oh, so you're going to take pictures with cardboard cutouts?
Pretty much. And in settings that look like you're... Now, in the modern world where Photoshop exists, I don't understand the need for this. So I'm actually kind of...
It's kind of a fun thing for like
it's
an
kind of cool,
arcade, right?
You know what I mean? It's kind of quaint. I like it.
Yeah, when are arcades coming back? It's got to be soon, right?
Never. I mean... Well, they're coming back. Well, they were coming back as like barcades.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a niche thing. It's like malls. Malls are already starting to claw their way back from like the depths.
So anyway, if this is anywhere near you, and it looks like it's, Connecticut for us is the closest one. That there's a couple in Texas, a couple in California, Michigan, Maryland, Nevada, and Washington State.
I'm not driving across Connecticut for shit.
No, but if you got kids, they're kind of into Hero Academy or Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay, if you're stuck driving across the parking lot state for any reason, you could pull over and take yourself a Jujutsu Kaisen picture where you're stuck in traffic for 8 fucking days.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much how Connecticut works. Sorry if you're from Connecticut. Sorry, not sorry.
The state sucks.
Yeah, so...
Also, fucking speed traps and shit, pulling people over, like... basically forcing people off the road because they don't have seatbelt on or some shit. Like, that's illegal in my state.
Connecticut, is not... Yeah.
Anyway,
it's got problems.
I'll
get over your fucking hatred of Connecticut
I'll
already.
stop ranting about Connecticut for a minute.
I mean, we Massachusetts is also nearby, and, they deserve far more renting than Connecticut ever did.
Yeah, Connecticut just pissed me off harder. That's all.
Yeah.
I think Massachusetts pisses me off so much per day. Because I have to
You're immune to it?
I have to go in and out of it all the time. The old in and out.
Yeah, the old in and out. Anyway, you can check these out. Again, this seems to be more aimed at kids. So if you got kids and they're into these kind of things, it's kind of a quaint, cool thing to go do. Some
family fun.
Family photo time back in the day. Or, again, you could just bust out the Photoshop. Whatever you want to do. All right, so a little bit of news. Now, awards in general are kind of a joke. But this one is...
Well, when you give them to everybody for everything for no reason.
This is kind of cool because it comes from Japan's Agency of Cultural Affairs. And they've given Yoshikazu Yasuhiko of Gundam fame a Lifetime Achievement Award.
I think he deserves it, actually.
I think the man freaking deserves it. I agree. I mean, he began his career in freaking 1967. He's been around the block. And he worked on Yamato, Brave Raideen, Mobile Suit Gundam. Shit.
That's awesome.
Come on. That's awesome.
That man is a national treasure.
So, congratulations to Yoshikazu Yasuhiko-san. I'm weeb out a little bit. It's just cool. I'd like to see Gundam-related things recognized, even though Japan understands. Like, Gundam is so huge over there, but you still like to see it.
I do.
All right.
Recognizing the cultural impact.
So this is a tandem of articles. So Valve has become a bit censorious in the things it'll host, right? So Valve for forever was more of a Wild Wild West situation.
Hands off.
Whatever ridiculous game you wanted, they'd host.
Don't touch.
They've clamped down on that a bit. I don't know why. This is not the typical thing where I'm going to blame it on wokeness. I think this one's a little more complicated. It probably has to do with certain countries they're in, and who knows.
It probably has a lot to do with money, I would assume.
Money, advertisers not wanting to advertise. That's probably a big part of it. So for some reason, they had pulled Chaos Head.
Yeah, Chaos Head.
Yeah, which is, I'm assuming, in the same vein as Robotics Notes and all those other shows.
Yeah, it's the Steins Gate universe.
Yeah, yeah. Loosely related. You say universe, they're all kind of like loosely related.
Yeah, but I mean, they're all made by the same people.
Yeah.
The same, Listen, they all have the semicolon.
So it was going to get disallowed, but they actually reversed course, which is interesting, which is surprising. A lot of companies don't reverse course on stuff like this. And
yeah, usually once the ban hammer's been thrown down.
And I don't know that Chaos Head is so big that it would have got them that much, grief if they've just stuck with that decision.
It's true.
Especially since it's available on...
Isn't it old?
Yeah, it's been out since 2014.
That's what I was going to say. That's like an old-ass game.
Yeah. Or no, 2008, sorry.
Like I said, that's an old-ass game.
Yeah. So...
Well, that was the first one. It was Chaos Head, then Steins Gate, then...
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Robotics Notes. I think that might be a new one. I don't know.
I think there is a new one. Yeah, so anyway, they reversed stream on that one. Now, on the other hand, they're not going to go back and re-examine other ones that they have banned under their new guidelines, apparently. So another thing they got some shit for was banning Full Metal Demon Muramasa. Again,
did they give like a reason or anything?
I'm sure they did at the time. I'm not seeing it here. It might have been nudity. It's almost always freaking nudity of some type.
Why don't people like titties?
I know, what the hell. But I'm not sure. So I'm not.
Maybe it was dicks.
That's not definitive.
That's the clincher.
No way, man. They love dicks even more.
They love titties and dicks on the same
together. You degenerates. You love that shit. Anyway, they are not going to go back and reverse it.
They were doing it before it was cool.
So yeah. So whether the game, Japan certainly was, whether the game was should be banned under whatever their new rules is, because they did tweak them after they unbanned Chaos Head, they're not going to go back and review. So if there's some other game, I don't know what else is out there. I'm sure there's a bunch. Don't expect anything else to come back, but hopefully going forward, less stuff will get banned on the platform. All right, moving on. So I thought this was interesting. If you watched, and we'll talk about it today, any of the regular season episodes, I think there's 2 or 3. 2? There's only 2 episodes out of which from Mercury.
Yeah.
Well, there's 3 because there's the prequel, but 2 regular season episodes without kind of the prequel. And if you've watched it, you notice that it takes place in a school, and you might go, "That's a strange place to have a Gundam show." Like, there's been schools in Gundam shows. I mean, Unicorn starts in a school for like a minute and a half, then the place gets attacked, and no more school.
Yep.
So apparently, this is the producer for Witch from Mercury. Yeah, it's intentionally in a school because they didn't think modern teens wanted Gundam because they thought Gundam was for grandpas.
It is kind of for grandpas.
Which,
listen, grandpas aren't always wrong.
I get that, except like Build Fighters did huge numbers too, so I think he's a little overplaying it, personally.
Yeah, definitely. But who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about Witch from Mercury a little bit more later.
That's actually what I originally liked about Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. Like, the characters are all different ages, from a super old man down to like, fucking 14-year-old girls, 13-year-old girls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get sick of watching shit where everybody's either in high school or middle school. I'm old.
Yeah. Yeah, Gundam's usually been good for having
a decent amount of like
adults,
characters,
yeah, doing adult things.
And I'm not against Gundam School. I'm just saying.
No,
Gundam usually hooked me up with the like crusty old man characters.
I honestly think it's a bit of a novel thing. So, and I doubt it's going to stay there the whole run. I mean, Gundam works. Like, a lot of shit's going to go wrong, and then there's going to be a interstellar war, and
they will have
intrastellar war.
They will have Gundam Utna for half the season.
Gundam Kill a Kill. Gundam Utna nothing.
Listen, we had this discussion yesterday or the day before. I don't remember. Most of
Utna is
the
good.
only reason I hate Utna is because 90% of it was good, and the last 10% was like the biggest
Trash.
shit letdown ever.
Talking about the anime and not the movie, or OVA, and not the manga either.
What was the movie? What was that thing?
I don't know. It was great. It was great because it made no goddamn sense.
Watch our review of it. It's good.
It was hell yeah. It's an acid trip. Highly recommend the movie. Highly disrecommend the series. Unless you're going to stop halfway through and be satisfied. Then
Girls
go
that
ahead.
turn into lesbians, that turn into cars, that turn into lesbians.
Yeah, man. Lesbian cars. It's the way of the future. They might be TERFs, though, so you got to watch your ass.
Uh-oh.
What about trans cars with transmissions? Who knows?
Please stop.
Anyway, I'll leave that one alone. All right, moving on to the most important news.
Thank God.
The most important news of the day, of the month, of the year.
The fucking century.
So, Satoru Noda, who created the Golden Kamuy manga, has finally succumbed to fan demand and has ranked penis sizes
Thank
for the
God.
show. So now you can know whether Dick Sensei does indeed have the largest dick.
Once again, I'd like to go back to Japan's fan interaction with the series, which makes everybody get what they want, and it ends hilariously like that.
It's freaking awesome.
Hilarious.
It's freaking great. So, of course, Ushiyama is number one. Because when you're Dick Sensei, you're Dick Sensei.
Yeah, right. They weren't going to let us down with, like, Now I'm going to read that list, and every time I watch it, it's all I'm going to think about.
Tanigaki Nispo is number 2, but isn't he dead?
I think so, yeah.
That ain't good. I don't know. We'll talk about it today. Matter of fact, I'm gonna be smart right now while I'm talking and pull up a list of Golden Kamuy characters. Because keeping all the goddamn characters in Golden Kamuy straight is not
It's one of those shows.
easy.
Even when I'm watching it, I'm like, until they say somebody's name, I'm like,
well, and when it's been 6 months, a year and a half between seasons, it's like,
it's true.
Fuck, I can't remember who's who. Like, I know, but it's tough.
Oh, remembering Japanese names is hard for me anyway.
Well, and
it doesn't.
A lot of these are Ainu names too, so that's even more different.
Asirpa. That's a hard
Asirpa.
one. That's hard to even pronounce.
Yeah. It's yeah.
The only one I can remember is Immortal Sugimoto.
Immortal Sugimoto. Anyway, that is all I got. I can't top, ranking the sizes of all the dicks in Golden Kamuy.
Well,
so I'm just going to end it there.
Since we're talking about it, let's roll right into it.
Golden Kamuy. All right, it's back.
I've been this happy about anything in a long time. I could not wait for that to come back. It is like probably my favorite show of the last 5 years, I would say.
It's really goddamn good.
It's the perfect balance of super serious, super funny, and just like fucking crazy wacky. It's a super interesting time period. All the characters are amazingly entertaining. Like, the ones you're supposed to hate are super hateable, but still kind of fun anyway.
It's
a weird part of history that never really gets talked about.
I mean, it's like pre-World War I.
Yeah, like, what is it?
It's like 1904,
the Russo
1908.
Japanese War.
It's the second Russo, Sino-Jap, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Don't kill me. I like history, but that's a part of history that no one freaking remembers.
I remembered this up until I went to talk about it.
Good job.
I know.
Yeah, the Russo-Japanese War.
Yeah, Russo-Japanese War. Okay. Fighting over a bunch of stupid little chunks of rock.
Pretty much.
Nobody wanted those islands anyway.
Nah, probably full of oil or something.
Were they even drilling oil back then?
1904? Yeah, they must have been. Must have been.
I assume so.
I mean, when they weren't using whale oil, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
I wonder when they start refining.
So anyway, show's back. Great historical setting. If you haven't gotten into it yet, I mean, for the love of God, just start at the beginning.
do. Do yourself a favor.
Watch it. It's great. So some highlights so far. So the 2 episodes deal with the two different groups of characters that are still wandering around. Well, it's kind of 3. But Tsurumi you haven't really seen for a while, so I don't know what he's up to. But all his goons, so Lieutenant Tsurumi's goons, he's kind of the main bad guy, but is he really a bad guy? I don't know. He is the bad guy, but
yeah, I don't know if there is like a main bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very
there's so many
gray.
ins and outs that you don't really know who's up to what the whole time. So
yeah. So you have
he's definitely the main pain in the fucking ass. That's what he is.
so at the end of last season, Sugimoto finally caught up with the Serpo again, and they killed it was Tanigaki Nishiba, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And whatever the Genjiro, was it Genjiro Tanigaki is the freaking no, it's Ogata, right? The sniper.
Yes.
Yeah, and they chased the sniper out of town, tried to kill him. Well, almost killed him. Sugimoto made sure he didn't die because he didn't want a Serpo to live with having killed him. But he's a menace still, so he's still out there. So the first episode deals with their group, a bunch of characters in it. I'm not going to get into it. Escaping from Russia because they had to go into Russia to get a Serpo back, and now they're heading back towards Japan. And then the other episode deals with the group that Tsurumi had sent out, and some operating on their own, which is Toshizo Hijikata, who's the samurai dude.
Yes.
He was one of the Shinsengumi. He's a ridiculous badass.
Yes.
Like, he's like old man, last of the samurai, chopping people up in a ridiculous era where no one's chopping anybody up.
Yeah, they're like well into guns at this point.
Yeah, they all have, bolt action rifles, and he does work.
Wow, man.
Yeah, so, and Ushiyama Tatsuma, who's freaking ridiculous. Dick Sensei, as it were.
I still want to know what that like square like nub on his forehead is.
Yeah. So the whole thing with Golden Kamuy is it was actually a Serpo's father was put in a prison, and he'd stolen a bunch of gold. They'd secreted away a bunch of gold.
Yeah.
I think from the military. Very good, bad, and the ugly of them.
I was just gonna say
Secreted away a bunch of gold and had like made an encoded map that's tattooed
on a bunch of people's backs.
on a bunch of the prisoners that he was in prison with. So they're like literally hunting the people, and then either, sometimes they write it down and copy it. Sometimes they literally skin the person and take the skin.
Depending on who's like looking for it,
Yeah, but if the person's dead, they will just skin the person and take the damn skin. It's crazy.
Or they'll make them dead and then skin
Yeah,
them.
exactly. It's wild. So you have Sugimoto, who's a veteran of the war, and he's named immortal for a reason. He's very, very, very hard to kill.
Yeah, he's nigh on unkillable.
And he's got a little Ainu girl, a Serpo, which again it's her father, who's kind of the main guy, the catalyst for the whole show.
Yeah.
He or a Serpa is Ainu, like I said, which is like the native peoples from northern Japan and like that peninsula in Russia.
Yeah.
Off of Kamchatka. So
they're like Japanese Siberian, basically.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool setting. And then Lieutenant Tsurumi, the main kind of bad guy, he's a military guy, obviously Lieutenant Tsurumi, and he knows about the gold too. He's going after the gold. So this is like a bunch of different people going after the gold and schemes and scams and
a zillion characters that are hard to keep track of. It's easy when you're watching it, but to like talk about it, it's like you're constantly looking.
There's 20 to 30. I mean, main and side characters.
Yeah.
Primary characters.
And you don't even think about them until they pop back up, and it's like, oh, it's that.
And they
guy,
do a good job balancing them.
chick.
Yeah, and moving them around and having them, go different places. But there's a lot of freaking characters. So anyway, we have other stuff to talk about. I won't go on about it. Just wanted to kind of give a feel for Golden Kamuy because we haven't talked about it a lot. It's freaking great. It's a great show. You got to watch it. So Witch from Mercury. So we talked about that a little bit before. I'm liking it so far.
I'm pretty well entertained.
I like the duels. We talked about that last time, but this time you got the fallout from that duel and the jockeying between the different companies and the dirty pool they play.
I like that it's focused on, because I always wanted Anaheim to get fucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like they're basically
evil.
perpetuating the whole thing. Like it's that classic. They're basically
beware the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, like they're basically the U.S. of that conflict. Like, we're just poking that bee's nest everywhere.
I mean, they're the Raytheon of that conflict, but yes.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. But at any rate, I like that they're, this is basically just all evil corporations, fighting each other.
Yeah. So, the corporations have like their own secret police basically, and they see that Suletta Mercury has what looks like a Gundam. It spoiler alert, it's definitely a freaking Gundam, but they banned, after we talked about the prequel where they were banning that system because it's killing people and all that stuff. They are really hard to make sure there are no Gundams. Now, part of that too is definitely because if one company, because this is like a conglomeration of companies, if one company got a hold of that technology and actually perfected it would completely overthrow the balance of power between the companies. It would be just ridiculous. So
it's like whoever figures out cold fusion first.
So some companies are secretly scheming to get it. So there's a whole inquest that's done, and then not Suletta Mercury's mother, who's definitely her mother, in the most ridiculous incarnation of a Char helmet shows up.
I was going to say, it's an interesting choice for a fake Char.
It's fine. But yeah, it is an interesting choice. I agree. And the helmet's more ridiculous.
That helmet's so wacky. It's so giant. I mean, the only tip-off is her robot arm.
Yeah, that's it. But it could be a swerve. You don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just seems like it. So this is just, it's more character establishing. It's more establishing the world. So, nothing big happens. It's just, it's really doing a good job of keeping itself interesting while building on the world. So you have a good footing. Gundam typically does a good job of this, with their not side stories, but non-UC stories.
It's a weird mix of stuff because it's definitely like a little bit of Gundam Fight. What the fuck was that called?
Yeah, there's a little bit of G Gundam.
G Gundam, that was the one.
There's a little bit of Double O because it has more of a this is our near future feel.
Yeah, definitely.
A little more of that near future technology feel and not that kind of weirdness of Gundam feel.
Yeah, Gundam was very unique. It's like its own thing.
Yeah.
It was very separate from like, near future Earth or whatever.
Yeah, it had a whole different kind of vibe, which is always interesting. It always felt more far future, but in a weird way, kind of Dune-like, where stuff is just kind of weird.
Yeah, exactly.
That's, definitely a product of it being in the 70s and being a super robot show to start.
It's true.
It's technically not a super robot show. Whatever, we're not going to get into it.
Real robots, bro.
Witch for Mercury looks good. Plot's shaping up pretty well. World building's great.
I like all the characters so far.
Yeah, characters are interesting.
They all do what they need to do. Yep. Like, none of them are annoying or.
It's interesting setup. So we'll see. Gundam a lot of times is about sticking the landing because, like, AG was a really good idea and was pretty good through the first two generations, and then they got to that third generation and it fell apart. So.
Man, they trolled me with, like, Pirate Gundams and shit, and then the third installment was like, God, I hate that kid.
Oh,
I
yeah.
hate him so
and
much.
Then, you have stuff like Iron-Blooded Orphans that gets let down by its last like 10 episodes or so, where it's just too nihilistic. So realistic, perhaps, but very nihilistic.
AG was funny because it was like the protagonist of the last part was determined to make sure nobody does anything entertaining.
Yeah,
I'm here to make sure you're not entertained. I'm just gonna lecture you about war.
It was bad. At least his old man had like the pirate, that awesome pirate like Zeta Gundam thing.
Yes, I don't even get why. That's like such an overused thing now. Like, yeah, war is bad. Everybody fucking knows it. It's not like
Gundam from the beginning has been about war is bad.
Yeah, like,
literally from the first
series. You don't
series.
have to just like beat that drum so hard. Like, we get it. Nobody wants to get blown up.
And it's always about like riding that line between war's bad, but this shit looks really cool. It's very bad. Like, it's always been interesting. So anyway, Witch for Mercury, great. Golden Kamuy, check it out. Mob Psycho.
Right back to it.
Yep.
Like I never left.
It's like you never left. So if you don't know about Mob Psycho,
it's a warm blanket.
What are you doing? Like one,
zing.
So it's the same guy that did the same guy who did One Punch Man. The humor style is very similar.
Identical, yeah.
Not the same kind of show, but somewhat similar. Like Mob is a ridiculous terror when he wants to be.
It's like kind of the same thing, except he doesn't really know it.
No, he's like a clueless middle school kid.
Because he could like literally rule the world if he wanted to, but he's just like, man, I'm thinking about my future. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
He's stressing out about costumes for like the cultural event.
Yeah, like just dumb shit because he's just clueless.
But Mob Psycho is great. You know, like I said, if you like One Punch, I don't see how you're not gonna like Mob Psycho. It's 3 seasons in, but each season's 12 or 13 episodes. They're not super long, and they're very, very entertaining.
Oh man, imagine if One Punch had a Reagan.
I know, right?
Yeah, like that's the best character. That makes the show really.
Yeah, I mean, you have super powerful yet clueless psychic middle schooler Mob, and then you have Reagan, who's like the super shyster
scam artist,
like
There's
runs the
just,
psychic firm.
There's just like politely using him to make money.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great show.
Oh, and this season he has what's his face too. So he's got like 2 super overpowered psychics. It's so
Yeah,
funny.
I can't. Sarazawa.
Yeah,
I remember his name because it's the same as the dude from Godzilla.
God, it's so funny.
The original, by the way. Well, and the new one, but whatever.
Anyway, I think this season is starting off anyway even better than the last 2. I'm full into it.
Yeah, see, they don't have to build on it because you already know what's going on. And the last season was excellent, but it donked a little bit early on. This one is starting off real hot. It's really good.
It's
I would
right
agree.
back into it. No setup, just bam. I like it.
It's all going to revolve around that giant broccoli, man.
I love that. What is it, like the spirit tree or something? It's like, no, man, this
It's
is
a giant
broccoli.
broccoli.
Like, that I accidentally made giant when I was like freaking out.
Such a great show. So definitely check out.
It's got like an Invader Zim level of absurdity too, where everybody's just hyper dumb sometimes. Like, dude, come on. Like, it's obviously...
Yeah, it's got a little bit of One Punch going on there.
Oh,
it's
definitely.
excellent, and it's different enough from One Punch that it's not you're not treading the same.
Oh yeah,
ground.
no, completely different, but you can definitely see it's the same guy who wrote them.
Yeah, it's great. All right, so that's that. All right, so a couple more that I watched too, and then if there's any you want to add after that, although we got a lot of them. Urusei Yatsura, the re-adaptation.
I really like the first episode.
I like it. It's completely ridiculous.
Yeah, I just like the
Which I love.
fun entertainment, just wacky. Like the story is just, it doesn't matter. It's basically just Lum zapping the shit out of
Ataru.
Otaru.
Yeah,
Like,
poor Ataru.
Otaru deserves it though.
He does deserve it. So, Urusei Yatsura is based on the manga by Rumiko Takahashi, who did freaking Ranma 1/2 and Inuyasha. So, pretty damn huge.
She has an interesting take on male characters.
She really does. She's one of the few female writers who does male characters well. I take that back. There are a lot of Japanese female writers that do male characters very well.
Yes.
It's Western female writers that seem to screw it up.
Yeah.
Because Romu, what's her face from Full Metal Panic?
No, Full Metal
Alchemist.
Alchemist.
Sorry, yes, Full Metal Alchemist.
No, I know what you're talking
Full
about.
Metal Alchemist is one of the best brother stories I think that's ever been done, and
Yeah.
she gets it perfectly.
Yeah,
So
no, it's really good.
anyway,
Very impressive.
I can't remember her last name. That's a shame. So back to Urusei Yatsura. Urusei Yatsura, so it's just silly. It is wacky. Basically, the first episode starts off, aliens are invading the Earth, and they're ridiculous Oni-looking aliens with like tiny horns, and the dude's giant, and they're about to invade, but then they go, we selected someone at random. We're going to have a game with one person on Earth. And if you win this game, then we won't invade. And if you lose this game, we're going to invade and take you over. And I mean, clearly they could just take us over because they have ridiculous spapeships and all this ridiculous.
Yeah, they got us
technology.
surrounded, man.
So it's Ataru, the main character, and he's trying to get sweet with Shinobu, yeah, his girlfriend, but like he's a horn dog, and she's like super jealous constantly.
He's a typical teenager.
It's ridiculous. So anyway, of course he has to win a game of tag against the alien chief's daughter, who's Lum, who you've probably seen everywhere and didn't even realize it if you don't know anything about Urusei Yatsura. Like, she's the girl with the little devil horns and the frickin' like leopard bikini, tiger stripe bikini, whatever it is.
It's
so
a
he has
tiger stripe fur bikini.
Yes. So he's got 10 days to catch her and grab her by the horns, and ridiculousness ensues. And she ends up marrying him, but not marrying him. They're going to get married, but then he's not interested because he's into Shinobu, but she's really into him. And stupidity ensues,
Yeah,
and it's great.
just wacky.
It's a ridiculous love triangle of silliness. There's wacky characters. Cherry the monk, the Buddhist monk. He's just I don't even know.
He's the
great.
classic like tiny like super ancient guy, and he just shows up for comic relief and
Yep.
gets bounced.
Inataru's parents are just like, I wish he had never been born. Like, what did we do?
Artaru's thing too is he was born on like Friday the 13th, and like a black cat walked past.
Yeah,
like,
and it was like
every single thing that could give you bad luck. So he just has like the shittiest luck ever.
the most unlucky day in the Buddhist calendar. Yeah.
It's funny.
So it's a great show. It's so silly. I mean, we talked about Beautiful Dreamer on here, which is one of the original movies, OVAs. I think it's actually a movie that was done after the original series. The original adaptation was done. So this is just a readaptation. Studio David did it. It's got that same very nice manga feel that JoJo's has.
Animation's great. They kept all the characters' designs basically identical.
Yeah.
It's very they didn't go over the top with like, you know, hard lines or anything. Everything's very smooth. Like it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not as
They didn't do it like mad stylized like JoJo's or anything.
I mean, I think it is stylized. It's just in a
a
different
little
way.
bit, but not.
In a different way.
I like that it's like washed out colors, kind of. Like it looks.
feels very old school.
It looks like old school, but new. I don't know. They did a really good job, though.
They did a very
It
good job. It
Pops
looks great.
in like a weird way.
Yeah.
And it's hard to describe, so just watch it.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. I mean, it's probably going to run. I think it's going to definitely run for 26 episodes straight through, but I mean, I don't know. They're going to need a lot of episodes to do the whole manga.
It's always cool when they go back and readapt and get rid of filler and, you know, stuff like that. So I'm
Yeah,
kinda
clean it
stoked
up
on
and some of the quirks of adaptation. Do something more faithful.
And it's a super classic. It deserves it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Lupin tier classic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where it's just
it's
like,
really good.
It deserves a little love.
So definitely go check out Urusei Yatsura. It's actually streaming on High Dive if you're in the U.S. It's just a strange place for it to be, but that's where it's at. And then there is Chainsaw Man. So Chainsaw Man,
fucking as advertised.
super hyped, you know, by everybody. It's pretty good. I like it. I'm not gonna poop on it. I got to see more of it.
I enjoyed the first episode.
It's quirky and weird.
I think people like it just because it's hyper weird.
And it's, you know, hyper violent, which is.
I mean, that was the
you
attack.
know, we appreciate that.
That was like the Attack on Titan thing. Everybody just liked it because it was like mind-blowingly weird.
It's and mind-blowingly violent, right? Like that's how both of these are.
Exactly.
But man, it does what it says on the tin.
It's basically an updated Devilman.
It is 100% an updated Devilman.
I mean, they steal like very specific things, like you don't smell like a devil or a human. Like that is straight out of Devilman.
That's straight. Yeah, this shit's straight.
Which
out
is
of
fine.
Devilman.
I mean, if you're gonna rip off any Nagona guy's stuff, like that's fucking perfect.
Well, I said it before. There's not enough people that do rip that stuff off, so do it.
Yeah, no,
Make it happen. But
I like the crap out of it.
I mean, he's got a chainsaw with mad teeth for a face. He's got chainsaws for hands. He pulls a ripcord in his chest. He basically had to merge with a demon because he was, you know, chopped up into pieces and thrown in a bin. Yeah, spoiler alert for the first episode, but I mean, it's 20 minutes. You're going to watch the whole episode. It's not a big problem.
Exactly.
It's great.
no
The animation's
cliffhangers,
good. Mappa did a good job. I like it. I mean, he's CG when he's in chainsaw mode. It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Some of the CG kind of irritated me.
It's-
I'm like super fussy about that.
Well,
so. You probably won't notice.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
I noticed. I'm
No,
saying it's
I
not
meant
bad at
whoever-
all.
I meant whoever's listening to this probably won't notice.
It's way better than Tekken was. And I don't think Tekken didn't bother me, but it's way better than Tekken was.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
Nah, Mappa doesn't do cheap shit. Like
No.
it's just some
It's
of the
not it's not at UFO tables
I
level.
only noticed like some of the buildings and stuff. They're just like a little too shiny. It's the camera work mostly with digital stuff, like the pans and stuff. They just it catches my eye. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe I'm just an asshole.
Although honestly, when it's I know this is about Vampire Hunter D. We'll talk about this later. When you watch really old stuff that's really cleaned up and not kind of mushy, you know, not kind of like, you know, with a Vaseline filter on it,
yeah,
it looks the same way to me. It's got that same issue where, you know, you can
Yeah.
obviously tell that they're just panning around a still image.
oh yeah.
It's got a similar issue, so
So maybe it's just me.
it might be.
Maybe I'm just used to watching like shitty old smeary like,
Yeah,
animation.
the CG is not perfect. Don't get me wrong, but I thought it was pretty good. Like it was up there. I think it's on the same level as Attack on Titan as you would expect, being the same studio. So that's what you can expect.
Oh god, I was nerded out on this. Somebody posted a video. I don't remember where the fuck it was. It was about one of the animators at Disney from way back in the day, and how he did this like crazy. He always did this weird head shake thing on characters, where they were moving their head in like almost 2 dimensions at once.
Yep.
And it was like almost impossible to do. Like people just, it was like this wicked hard thing to do at the time. And he used to just specifically put it in every single movie he did just to like fucking, show off. It was pretty fun.
When you're an animator, your life is mostly boring, doing the same shit over and over. So when you can show off, you got to show off.
They went like deep into like how difficult it is. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
And those old Disney animators are, some of the best animators ever in the history of time.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. Because
Really
I did not respect how hard that was until they showed, because it's just a stupid head shake when you're watching it. And it's just like, no, this is like wicked fucking difficult.
Oh, and the other thing I've been watching is 86. I will definitely have some thoughts about 86 probably next week.
Yeah, let's revisit it.
Because I'm almost done. I think I have like six or 7 episodes left. I would have been done by now, but good God, there's so many new things to watch this season.
I know, I've been plowing through Bastard. I actually been watching the 2nd season of Love Alternative.
Yep.
It's basically the main character going back through last season, except he remembers what he did. Because if you remember from last season,
he's going back in time, son.
Like all the rich assholes fucked off and left, 1 billion people on the planet to die, because that's exactly what would happen. Anyway, so he somehow got sent back to the past to do it again, except he remembers everything, and he's trying to massage time so a different scenario will work out instead of the one where they get
horrible everyone's doomed on Earth
completely fucked. Anyway.
Horrible bug. Listen, it's Muv-Love. Horrible bug monsters and mechs. You can't go wrong. It's pretty solid.
It's really solid. It like scratches that mecha anime itch because there's like nothing.
Yeah, no, there hasn't been. We've been bitching about that for a while. I mean, we got Gundam this season, so thank God.
We have to live in the mecha desert.
And just noticed that the damn Dr. Stone OVA is now streaming. So
bam,
we'll be talking about that soon too. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. I know you watch some more stuff, but I mean, my God, it's almost too much. We got to kind of move on here. But
I'm trying to think.
Stow some of that stuff for next week, and
oh yeah, because there's
don't want to burn it all out at once.
There's new episodes of Legend of Galactic Heroes to get at.
Yeah, we got to get there.
So yeah, we're not going to be able to do every single thing every week. We'll probably just do chunks.
This season, freaking My Hero Academia is back. Like
I had no idea.
This season is just stacked. It is stacked to the goddamn gills.
Until Crunchyroll is trying to get me to watch it. I'm like, I already fucking seen it, and they're like, no, you haven't.
No, you haven't. You have not seen this.
Then they call me an asshole, and I shut it off.
Yeah, man. They got your mother's maiden name tattooed on their arm.
Best diss ever.
Anyway, like I just said, time to talk a little bit about the RIPPAVERSE and ISOM. So I brought it up last week.
I read it, so now I'm up on.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about it. So spoilers here a little bit. I won't get into it too deep, but it's a really solid story, and I highly advise you. It's worth the $35 to pick up a copy of the book.
I love how he just jumped into it.
Yes,
there's no fucking
origin story.
No, they did it like almost like short story style. Like the old Conan stories or like whatever, where it's just like, bam, you jump into it, you get this little like, this is this guy, this is what he does, here's an adventure. But it was like, I'm so fucking sick of stupid origin stories. Like, I don't even care. Like, so he like briefly mentions, whatever. But the gist is, it's got a very Luke Cage vibe. I thought
there's definitely some Luke Cage.
It's
feel
very
here.
street level superheroing.
Street level, except like Luke Cage has always been kind of overpowered for the streets. So
yeah,
it's got a little bit of that going on.
Yeah, he's less powerful than you would think. And I kind of like it because he occasionally gets his ass kicked by other guys that are, powerful.
Avery Silman is the main character.
That's wacky.
He used to be known as ISOM, and that's the name of the book.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because where they pick up, like he used to be, he like did the hero thing back in the day, and then he just left the city because it sucked, and he's just living on the farm, and he gets like, through
he's run his own farm.
Yeah, through like circumstances, he gets like dragged back in, and it's just
So
I just really like the setup.
Yeah, so his what happens is his sister? His sister calls him and says, hey, Altona, his sister, hey, there's this girl that we had on board as an intern at my work, and she's gone kind of missing, not really missing, but like she's fallen in with Darren Fontano, which is a guy that Avery was friends with back in the day. And Ripper explains a lot of this stuff. You can go check him out on YouTube. But falls in with him, and so she says, Altona, the sister, says, hey, go, Avery, you got to help me out here. You got to go see what's going on. Make sure she's all right. Because some matriarch, I don't know if she's like an aunt or just an old lady from the neighborhood or whatever.
It's like an old lady from the neighborhood.
Yeah, who everybody respects is like, no, man, she wants you to find her. Like, you gotta do it for her.
It was a specific request.
So Avery goes to find her, and he goes to see Darren, who he was friends with in high school, but has not been since then. And Darren is a bad man now.
He's a thug.
He's kind of like Copperhead, right? Again, very Luke Cage.
That's
right?
what I mean. It's like very much the Luke Cage TV series.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of that in there, and not ripped off in a way, because this is a story. This is a trope that is just around.
Oh yeah,
right?
like it's been 100 things.
So
but that's the most recent thing that's used it,
and it's a smart one because it doesn't get used often enough. This has a lot of a mob feel. Like once I get out, they pull me back in.
Yeah.
So Avery fights some guys in the club. Obviously has some kind of powers for some reason. Can't quite tell whether he's just a Batman or whether he's got some powers there. Who knows?
They kind of half-ass explain it.
They allude to both, but they leave it mysterious. A lot of this is left mysterious.
I think it's like your stock, like not mutants, but people are just born with powers. Very My Hero Academia kind of.
But I don't know, and it was hard to tell whether they all had kind of the same power, and then there's just other weirdos around, or what. We'll see. There's not a ton here, but it's good because it drops the little nuggets of stuff, like a rabbit dropping some little nuggets all over the place for you to go explore later. Like a little puppy, you're gonna go explore them later, sniff them up. So anyway, yeah, it's my horrible analogy for the day. So he gets his ass kicked a bit, although not that terrible. And then pretty much the entire rest of the time, he's just so mad at being disrespected. He's got to do something about it.
There's an awesome line in there where he's like, I'm pretending I'm looking for this girl, but I'm just pissed off that he talked down to me.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's great. So
pride, son, pride.
A lot of good establishing of characters, a lot of good, the stuff with the, they're probably aliens of some type, masquerading as people on Earth. Definitely some hints there, hints of larger organizations. He goes to the costume maker who's like the suit, the superhero suit guy at the end.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's like, I found that whole part interesting where he was just like, like he was very small time, just like, he's probably like a fucking guy who made suits, just like regular suits for people. And then he just like tried his hand at making suits for, like super people. And then now he's like this huge corporation. You know what I mean?
But he's not, I don't, you get the impression, obviously they're not just normal suits. They got all kinds of stuff.
No. Yeah. Well, he does a whole diatribe about that.
Yeah.
How it's like, he could get like crazy alien fabrics now or materials or whatever,
Yeah, it's cool. So it's a great setup. It's good because Avery he's not a bad man. He's a good man, but he's no saint, right? And that's it's good to have relatable damn characters
he's
for
just
once.
Normal, yeah.
Yeah, like a normal dude. Like he's pissed off. Like yeah, he is doing it for the girl. He says he's not, but he is. But he's also doing it because fuck this guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck especially him.
Right.
So it's good, and like I said, there's a lot of little crumbs in there, a lot of little setups. My only bitch is there's not more.
Yeah,
because it does leave you hanging.
I'm 100% out on Cape shit now. Like I'm just burned out on it. I don't care.
Yeah,
I've been reading it since I was like fucking 4 years old.
For the most part, I'm with you.
So, but this and I was like, I didn't even really want to read it that much. I'm like, I'll give it a chance because I've heard good things about it. But it sucked me in immediately, so I'm sold.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's Cape, it's quote unquote Cape shit, but it's not. It's more street level, and it's more intriguing because you don't know about
that classic like Daredevil steez where everything's like grimy, like
Yeah, the city's grimy. It's in Floor Spark, so it's not a real city. Yeah, but it's clearly based off of Texas, judging by the ranch and the obviously where July lives. That makes a lot of sense.
I would assume so.
So yeah, again, 100% worth the $35 to pick up a copy. I'm pretty sure you can still pick up copies of.
It's a lot of pages too. It's not like tiny.
The third cover. It looks like you could still do that on the RIPPAVERSE site. I highly recommend it. It's just really well done, and it's a cool start to a new universe. And
if you're trying to reboot that style of stuff back to where it's supposed to be, it's like pretty much perfect.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot better.
If that was his mission, like mission accomplished.
It's a hell of a lot better than a lot of other attempts I've seen. So yeah. Anyway, go check that out.
You can tell that's a guy who read a lot of comics.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's just like boiled down, boom, perfect.
Yeah, and a guy who definitely has a lot of experience writing, because the writing is pretty good.
Oh yeah, all the dialogue. There was nothing where I was like, "Oh God, this is cringy." You know
and there wasn't anything. My biggest problem with comics is a lot of times it feels like it's skipping scenes or skipping.
No, this flowed
things.
really well. Yeah.
Yeah, this flowed well, and it wasn't. I never felt like, wait, what happened? I don't get it. Like, it was Starblades when I read that, which one of the most gorgeous books I've ever seen. Kyle Ritter is a demon.
Mostly just to look at,
but the plot idea was great, but the execution, like, was fumbly. So, yeah, I don't know. It was like Graveyard Shift. I know people love Graveyard Shift. I like parts of Graveyard Shift. I just don't like the main characters at all. They're shitbags.
I thought a lot of Graveyard Shift was mad cringy. And I mean, I read some shit back in the day that would like curl your hair, but it's
pure 90s.
It's like 90s cringe fest.
It's pure 90s.
I mean, I don't hate it.
It's the characters.
Yeah, like the characters are just unlikable.
Until they had the alternate universe, like Van Helsing guy character. Him and his crew is cool. Everybody else,
they kind
of
saved it. Yeah, like everybody else, I'm like, you're all kind of shitbags.
Really hate those characters. So.
It is what it is.
And I can't deal with a story where I hate all the characters. That just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So anyway,
the Van Helsing guy did kind of save it.
If you're into, comics other than manga, I definitely recommend checking it out. Really cool.
There's so much good indie stuff now. You got to mention it every once in a while.
Oh yeah. Oh, and we will continue to mention good indie stuff. I mean, I have stacks of indie stuff to get to, so but I put ISOM up there with Wraith of God and Fiendish, and Cyberfrog is some of
Wraith
my
of God
stuff.
was what I was jonesing for. Super hard.
The style gets me better. I still have some.
I
nits
love
to pick,
like pulpy like westerns, occult.
There's not enough of it.
Like it's just such a good setup,
especially not in comics outside of France. Like France is the only place that does that kind of stuff.
Does anyone remember Briscoe County Jr.?
They fucking well should. They
if
don't.
You do.
But they should.
If you don't, look it up. And if you do,
Bruce Campbell.
It's like that, except with werewolves.
It was
shit.
Bruce Campbell's show on Fox that got killed. Much like Firefly. It was like the Firefly before there was Firefly, where like I was very upset when they canceled it after one season.
Fox just murdered it.
Oh, it was such a great
Fox
show.
murders everything.
Oh, they suck. Oh, they don't even really exist anymore. Anyway.
I was just going to say. They got what they deserved.
We're going to move on because we're going to move on to the final topic for the day. Vampire Hunter D.
Oh, such a classic.
So this is the 85 OVA. I mean, it's an OVA, but it's a film, right? It's
it's a movie.
80 minutes. So, a little shorter than your average, but honestly, a lot of horror movies are in that range anyway, 80 to 90. Based on the 40-book series from Hideyuki Kikuchi. It's just fantastic. So what is it about? So what the hell's Vampire Hunter D about? If you don't know what it's about, what the hell's wrong with you? Go watch. Unfortunately, there's only 2 animated adaptations, which is crazy.
I have heard that they're working on
I
a series.
know. You tell me this every
just
time.
Saying. I've heard it. I've heard
I pray that it is true, because
I hope I'm correct.
It's criminal that there isn't one.
I mean, you got so much source material.
So much source material, and it's super popular. Anyway, it is about 10,000 years in the future. Vampires had ruled the world, and then they kind of fucked off to space. So now the Earth is left with, like, there's still vampires here, don't get me wrong, the nobility, but there's all sorts of other monsters and weird shit, weird technology. It's got a lot of that Warhammer Lost Technology kind of feel.
Yeah, it's very super future.
Well, or Warhammer has the feel from this because it's later, but you know what I mean. But it's got that Hammer horror kind of feel going on, so it's a classic horror mixed with like
fucking
the weird future.
Yeah,
werewolves, no mummies, but not in this one anyway.
I know I was waiting for a mummy,
mutants
but it
and
never happened.
extra dimensional space, all sorts of cool shit. So
I'll assume Kikuchi hates mummies.
sentient caustic blood mist that turns your sheep into organs.
Yeah, just like
bones.
coalesces and like turns them into organs.
That kid who's like pulling out the jammy all the time, trying to shoot sentient mist. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever. Anyway, so it's in the super future. Like we said, 10,000 years. And the main character is D, who is a Dhampir, which is a half vampire. And I won't ruin the plot point about his father, but it comes out pretty early, and it's a main plot point most of the books, and it's not exactly that hidden, and you can guess it really easily, but whatever. So basically, it's a pretty small story. Like this is not telling the big overarching story of all the vampires and all that stuff. No. That's all the window dressing. Like this is a very simple story of like a farm girl who gets, a local vampire gets enamored with her and is good, wants her as his bride, and chaos ensues, right? Because she hires Dee to protect herself, and then shenanigans, right? Like the vampire sends out all kinds of goons, and his daughter's out there, and they're trying to capture the girl or kill the girl, and there's action.
It's very Ninja Scrolly, where you have a
Yeah.
bunch of like goons that have to he has to fight. To,
Action, adventure, titties. No horses exploding in this one, unfortunately. Not like Bloodlust.
Just wait for next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about Bloodlust. So fairly simple story, fairly straightforward, but well told. Very pulp in its execution. Very cool.
It never gets old. Like it's just got that style, man.
I love that retro future kind of style. That is
Can't
my
get enough of
jam.
it.
That is my jam. So I guess I'll just jump into, what do you really like about Vampire Hunter D?
There's nothing I don't like about it. First off. So it's my favorite thing.
I have complete nits to pick, but yes.
I love the style, first of all. I love
Yep.
that pulpy, it's perfect. You got the super, the quiet, super badass main character that everyone underestimates, and then they're like, oh shit, it's that guy. I can never get enough of that trope.
It's that man, that fry man.
Dee's an awesome character. All the other characters are very likable. Like her brother, that's always just
her brother's great.
fucking pulling out his gun and blasting shit.
Doris Lang is the girl.
Yeah.
There's a lot of references to Hammer horror stuff in this.
Yeah.
Like Count Magnus Lee.
Yeah,
Christopher Lee.
But
Dan Lang. Dan is her brother. He's great.
Dan's fucking hilarious. And then it's a classic story, just told really well.
Oh, the dandy. Don't forget the dandy.
Yes. God, that guy was such a chud. So good though. But yeah, it's just I don't know. Everything about it just appeals.
His
to me.
name's Greco-Roman, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, I remember.
So it's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, the Blu-ray, the cleanup they did for the Blu-ray release
It's
is fucking
gorgeous.
beautiful.
It looks way better. This will be my number one bitch spoiler alert of Bloodlust. Is it's a much prettier anime overall, except the Blu-ray release in the US is trash.
It is trash.
It's absolute trash.
It makes me sad.
But the Blu-ray release for the original is gorgeous. It's so clean.
I don't even know how they cleaned it up that nice.
It's from the mid '80s. It looks great. The color palette's cool because it's old school. Minor bitch. I don't mind the color palette for D being a little less extreme because in Bloodlust, his skin may as well be white.
Yeah.
It actually is closer to the book, but I don't mind the way they did it here. He looks a little more human.
Yeah, it's more pinky and less sheet of paper.
His costume design is kind of jank. I'm not a huge fan of his costume design in this one.
Oh yeah.
In Bloodlust, it's more of a leather bodysuit. It makes perfect sense. And this one, he's got knee pads. Looks kind of like spandex. It's just
it's a little weird.
It's a little janky.
True that.
Again, like I said, nits. I had nits to pick.
Yeah, no, it is.
Character designs are freaking great. Doris Lang is great. Those ridiculous old school eyes.
Yeah, it's got
giant
that
titties,
very
but not too giant.
kind of like that old school Macross style.
A skirt that doesn't even exist because just whatever.
it's
Don't
there
worry
to
about
get
it.
blown up by the wind so you can see your panties constantly.
Pretty much. The monster designs are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
All kinds of weird, freaky, Cthulhu-looking monsters.
Yeah, it's very Lovecraftian.
Very Lovecraft, very Berserk. Berserk would be after this.
Yeah.
Very Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Bloodborne, right? Like that whole string. Like it's definitely in that same vein.
And it's awesomely gory.
Amano doing the designs,
yeah,
like
you
and the
can't lose,
artwork. Ugh, Yoshitaka Amano is such a beast. Did all those classic, Final Fantasy bits of artwork.
Yep.
And it's just a solid damn story. I mean, we've reviewed a bunch of things that are Hideyuki Kikuchi, but this is his thing.
Oh yeah,
Right? Vampire Hunter
absolutely.
D is his thing.
Yeah, like I said, he wrote like 40 books.
Right,
Or
'cause-
like you said, I don't remember.
That's 40. Yeah, there's like 40 Vampire Hunter D books, so it's great.
They released them over here too. They're kind of hard to get now, but
Yeah, soundtrack is whatever. It's just kind of there.
yeah, I don't
It's classic, but it doesn't.
know. I'm not
it-
a huge
it's not
soundtrack guy unless it really sticks out.
It's
you know
not
what I
super
mean?
rocking. A lot of these like late 80s, early 90s OVAs have really rocking soundtracks. This is 85, so it is a little bit before that era.
Yeah.
I'm not bitching. It's fine. It does the job.
You don't notice it, so it's not bad.
Yeah.
Right.
The ending's good. I don't know if I have much else to say about it. Like,
Nah, Dee's
all I
just an
can do is
awesome
praise it.
character. Like the supporting cast is great. It's just an awesome, solid, classic story.
Oh.
I mean, not complicated.
The only other thing I'll bring up is the dub. We didn't watch it this time. We watched the sub, but I really do not like Dee's voice in the dub.
Nah, it's really bad.
And it's a shame because in Bloodlust, that voice is
The
great.
dub is great, yeah.
It's exactly what you expect. He's kind of quiet and whispery, and that's what he should be. And the Japanese voice actor here is doing basically that same thing, so it makes sense. The American voice actor in this is just kind of nasally, and it's just weird.
Yeah, very nasally.
No offense, I don't think he's a bad voice actor. He doesn't fit the character.
Whatever he's doing for that.
It's
is
like my
bad.
problem with Rebby's voice actor in
Oh my god,
the Black
it's the
Lagoon
worst.
dub.
That might not even be. That's more direction. That's like the.
Yeah,
director's
that's what I
fault.
mean. It's casting and direction. It's not the voice actor's fault. It's just casting and direction. But in this case, it's probably the same thing. But I would highly recommend watching it subbed and don't watch the dub.
Yeah, no, the sub's way better. And if there's a good dub, I'm definitely going to tell you to watch it because I would rather watch things in my native tongue.
Yeah, now, I'm talking about the original dub, the Streamline one. I will admit I have not. Apparently, they did a new dub.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the 2015 release, for the Blu-ray release. I have not listened to that dub.
Yeah, it might be better.
It might be 100 times better.
It probably is if they wasted time redoing it.
Yeah, it's probably a lot better. So maybe you check that out, but I remember the Streamline dub because that's the only thing we had.
It's true.
And it honestly wasn't a bad dub. It was just D himself.
Yeah, it had a really like, Devilman
not
voice.
fitting voice actor.
I'm Devilman.
And again, the guy's awesome. He's been in a ton of stuff. It's just that,
He wasn't good at that.
yeah, again, bad casting, bad direction, whatever you want to say. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say about Vampire Hunter D.
Yeah, I don't know. When you got nothing bad to say about something, it's not.
Yeah, watch it.
I could sit here and gush about it all day, but you get the gist.
It's 80 minutes and it's the perfect damn
classic.
thing.
It's like literally perfect.
Perfect thing for this Halloween season.
Yes. And it'll get you, if you've never seen it before, if you've never even heard about it, there's like a million books you could read. Great character.
Yep.
They're super wacky. Sometimes they're hard to follow. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's the translation or
I think
not,
part of it's the translation, for sure.
but at any rate, they're really good. And we're probably going to do the second one next week, so
Yeah, Bloodlust.
prepare yourself.
I like Bloodlust better overall, but again, the Blu-ray makes me sad.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably clean it up at some point.
I hope so.
Anyway, that's it. So, as usual, have a fantastic week. And we'll catch you next time.
Peace. Well, that's all for today, everyone. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning into another episode of the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour. Please remember to like and subscribe, and may your entertainment be always, well, entertaining.